till we reach the top somehow.
Oh yes, my Straight Talk family, when you hear that theme song, then you know it is just the time for me to say greetings to the entire world, because we are on the World Wide Web and we reach you, we communicate with you all over the globe. So I'm at liberty to say good night. I can say good morning, and I will say good afternoon, because one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves. And I'm reaching and touching those in the Kittian and Caribbean diaspora. Some of you are in Africa, there's some of you in Asia, and there are some of you in Europe, and a whole lot of you all over North America. So I believe that one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves. And hear what? They say that charity begins at home. So how on earth can I just overlook my base, St. Kitts and Nevis, and the entire Caribbean region? So let me say good night, St. Kitts and Nevis. Good night, Caribbean, from the south, even all down on the South American mainland, coming up to Trinidad and Tobago, down south, all the way up to next door, Montserrat and Antigua and Barbuda. Yes, I didn't skip Barbados. I didn't skip St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I did not skip St. Lucia, did I? Did I skip Dominica? How about Grenada? Et mes amis, donc Guadeloupe et Martinique aussi. And as well, we go west to St. Eustatius, Contabai, to Statia, to St. Barth, to St. Martin. You know, I never called Curacao. Contabai Socio, Contabai, boom, 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 boom. Aruba, I haven't reached so far yet because I've skipped Anguilla. I've skipped the BVI, Anegada, Virgin Gorda, Totola. How about the USVI? St. John's, St. Thomas, St. John, St. Croix, and Puerto Rico. But wherever you are, greetings and welcome to another edition of Straight Talk. If you're a first-timer, please be informed that Straight Talk is a public service program heard every Monday and Thursday from 8 to 10 in the p.m. And we facilitate, we promote free expression on all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, you do have a forum to express yourselves freely. So let's hope and trust it won't be your last time. If you love it, tell the whole world. If you did not, come find me and tell me. But on this program, we try to raise the level of national consciousness. We try to raise the level of national discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. My name is Ian Patches Liburd, and I give Almighty God thanks for blessing me with yet another opportunity to join you in conversation on yet another occasion. And as your host, I will always pledge to remain an untiring advocate of truthfulness. Yes, as I'm always reminded of the words of a favorite hymn of mine, we are called to be God's prophets, speaking for the truth and right, standing firm for godly justice, bringing evil things to light. So let's seek the courage needed, our high calling to fulfill, that we all may know the blessing of the doing of God's will. So my Straight Talk family, let me reassure you that absolutely nothing is watered down on this program. We don't try to make it more interesting by omission or exaggeration. Straight Talk is not about sensationalism or creating excitement, especially at the expense of accuracy. Because we lean on the facts, as it's my duty to present what I call the unvarnished truth, the plain truth, especially when it comes to governance in St. Kitts and Nevis. As this program joins us together with people across our federation, across the Caribbean, through this program we are joined with people in the diaspora all around the world, my Straight Talk family. And I can assure you, some of the things we advance, many will agree with the positions of truth. And some will disagree. And that's okay, because as I always say, we promote a diversity of views. But please, do not disappoint me. Do not sadden me. And it will, if ever at all, we become disagreeable. So let's thank Almighty God for guiding our conversation tonight, my Straight Talk family, and for helping us to understand, oh, how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. Let's therefore hope and pray for the day when we will all sing his praise together. So welcome again, my people, and thanks for all of you who share the link. You bring us first-timers, so please continue to do so. And then for the first-timers, I must inform you as well that Straight Talk is a participative program. By that I mean we include your calls and your emails, and if you're so minded calling, the numbers are on your screens. If you're afraid to call, many do. They don't want their voice to be heard. So we give you access via our email platform. The address is also on your screen. Straight Talk Patches, that's one word, at gmail.com. Those who have the Alexa app as well, let me hail you. You can access Straight Talk via Alexa. Just say, Alexa, play Massive Vibes Radio. How is my brother? There are some of you who have also made donations to support our efforts here on Straight Talk. Some of you have promised to do so, but whatever, I'll thank you in advance. And for those who did, I give you a big, big thank you. I can also reassure you that no matter how small your contribution is, it helps us to continue this important service. So others who wish to donate can scan that code. Just simply scan that code on your screen. You'll access a payment form. The process is like ABC. In a few minutes, you're done. So thank you again for your support and for helping us to keep the dialogue alive. A special welcome to my junior brigade. I'll never forget my junior brigade, no matter what you tell me. Those friends of mine, why I'm always calling the junior brigade. They mean so much to me. The young ones. I don't call all of them because I have not received parental approval. But Dwayne, Tristan, Shamar, Kevin, Rue, Jamal, Travis and Trevon, and Neema and Soraya. Also my special lady in St. Louis. Those are fixtures, so please accept that. And we usually begin with our observations in review, following which we move into our thesis, which I have labeled for tonight, St. Kitts needs its own government like Nevis. Yes, St. Kitts needs its own government like Nevis. And following the thesis, we include your calls, your emails as mentioned earlier, and allow your full participation. Yes, on Straight Talk, you can have your say. And my first observation, my Straight Talk family, relates to our Director of Public Prosecution, Adlai Smith. Mr. Smith, St. Kitts and Nevis and Straight Talk has not heard from you for some weeks now. For some unknown reason, you have not provided any further update on the killing of young Dr. Simonette Williams since almost 4 weeks ago when you told the nation this, Mr. DPP.
I wish also to provide an update on the investigation into the tragic death of Dr. Simonette Williams, which occurred as a result of a traffic accident in December of 2024. The case remains under active investigation, and I have received the official autopsy report, which is now under careful review by myself and the non-resident accident reconstruction expert who was assigned to this case. Additionally, I'm currently in discussions with the said expert who has requested further information to complete his careful analysis. That information is in the process of being supplied to ensure a comprehensive assessment of the circumstances surrounding this incident. The circumstances surrounding Dr. Williams' passing necessitate a careful and comprehensive examination, and I will ensure that all available and relevant evidence is fully considered before making any determinations.
What's taking you so long, Mr. DPP? Because we have been reliably informed here at Straight Talk that you have already received the final report from the accident reconstruction expert. Yes, he's from overseas, but he's a division born residing in the BVI. He's already provided the analysis, the report. So, Mr. DPP, Mr. Adlai Smith, we've always heard that justice delayed is justice denied. So the country will not forget this accident or this killing, whatever it is, especially since it seemed as though a ghost or a zombie was driving this vehicle, and or there is another school of speculation that the vehicle may have been driven by remote control. As to date, no driver has been identified. But we will keep you posted, my Straight Talk family. Our second observation, we go across the Narrows, where a storm is brewing with respect to parcels of prime land in the Saddle Hill area in Nevis, my Straight Talk family. There's a glimpse of the area over there in Saddle Hill. And my Straight Talk family, it is believed that 90% of the lands in Nevis are owned by Nevisians, local Nevisians, and many of which have been passed down to generations who cherish these lands. Some are overseas, some are home. But their land is their land. But Straight Talk has been informed by several different owners of having been approached by 71 Degrees North Realtors, a company owned and managed by a Grenadian woman who has resided in Nevis since 1995 and is well aware of all the ins and outs of Nevis since having resided there, as I said, since 1995. And furthermore, this realtor is very close to the seat of power in Nevis. And what is troubling, she has approached many landowners who have not demonstrated interest in selling land to her or having her sell land on their behalf, especially considering the fact she has not been forthcoming with the name or names of these potential investors. What is even more troubling, my straight dog family, is this well-connected realtor from 71 degrees north has even raised the threat of the NIA taking possible steps to invoke eminent domain. What's that, you may ask? The use of eminent domain to acquire land in Saddle Hill will be a contentious issue, believe me or not, especially because of the fact it affects ordinary citizens in Nevis. If the NIA seeks to acquire the land at Saddle Hill in Nevis for public purposes, then they must say what is the public purpose. And it cannot mean taking the land from a private owner to transfer the same land to one or two of Mark Brantley's private billionaire friends. And this is what raises grave concerns, because that would point to the issue of fair compensation. Who would ensure that affected landowners receive fair and just compensation for their property? And that is crucial. It points to displacement and disruption, because the acquisition of land can disrupt communities, displace families, and affect local economies, particularly if the land is integral to people's livelihoods. Those who farm, look at the land, lovely land. The process should involve clear communication and consultation with affected individuals and communities. Has the NIA considered alternatives to land acquisition, such as land leasing or negotiation, which might preserve residents' rights and livelihoods? I heard of the Wade plantation, for example. I heard of the old man, Mr. Wade, who leased land for 99 years. But my straight dog family, strong legal frameworks should be in place to protect the rights of landowners and ensure that eminent domain is used responsibly and ethically. But not Mark Brantley, not 71 degrees north realtor. There's a close connection. But there's a need for public discussion to ensure that the voices of ordinary people are heard in the decision-making process. You understand, you've already briefed Prime Minister Drew about this impending case. But why does Mark Brantley only think about his own people as house niggers, hewers of wood and drawers of water, who perform manual labor, housemaids and nannies? Is that all you think about your people, Mark Brantley? But Straight Talk will continue to follow that story, my Straight Talk family. We will continue to follow that story, like I said, as we will move to our third observation. And our third observation, my Straight Talk family, again, relates to my Straight Talk family, the Prime Minister and his usual unannounced trip with a 12 or 15 man delegation to attend the Africa Caribbean Investments Summit in Nigeria. And one of SKN's, one of St. Kitts Nevis's 20 or more ambassadors, Rosalind Hazel, my Straight Dog family, appeared as the coordinator of the summit on Nigerian television to explain why Nigeria, and she spoke about bridging the gap between Africa and the Caribbean. One thing she also informed us, that it was the Prime Minister's first trip anywhere in Africa. And he was over the moon, to use her words, my Straight Talk family. He's just gone on another joyride.
Why Nigeria, a company in Nigeria, or why Nigeria, is that there has been quite a lot of conversations about bridging the gap between Africa and the Caribbean. We in St. Kitts and Nevis also had a summit where Aquarium Consult was represented, and you had people from all over the world because they were invited by the Prime Minister to come, listen, see. I used to be the CEO of the Investment Promotion Agency, and one of my tagline was a place to visit, a place to live, a place to invest, a place to play. And we thought that this was a good idea to partner with Aquarium Consult and try to bring more of a bridge. My Prime Minister will be here for the summit. He's one of the keynote speakers at the opening ceremony. He's never had an opportunity to visit anywhere in Africa, and he is over the moon about coming to Nigeria as his first place in Africa that he is visiting.
Over the moon is the Prime Minister, the first place in Africa he's been visiting. But my Straight Talk family, in most countries, when the Prime Minister and ministers or government officials travel on official business, they are required to submit detailed reports upon their return. Not in St. Kitts and Nevis. We will never know of any benefits that our country stands to gain from this lavish trip on a chartered flight, we understand, to Nigeria. We understand as well that Aquarium Consult, I've had some information that relates to its disposition on the London Stock Exchange, or London House, I think it's called. But we're checking that and we'll give you updated information subsequently, my Straight Talk family. But no reports we will get on their return. We'll never know of the benefits that the country stands to gain from this lavish trip. But in terms of trade deals, diplomatic relations, investments, or strategic partnerships, there is no obligation to report so as to ensure transparency and accountability in government operations. Reporting, you'll agree, allows the public and other government officials to evaluate whether the trip was productive and aligned with national interests. Furthermore, it helps to assess the impact of the visit on long-term goals such as economic growth, job creation, or even in days like today, technological advancement. But we'll hear more about that joyride to Nigeria, if not now, later. And our final observation, my Straight Talk family, relates to the incompetence of Samuel Duggins, which remains in the spotlight. Heard some things about the breakdown with the relationship between himself and the Prime Minister. They're both in Nigeria as we speak, though. But the incompetence of Samuel Duggins remains in the spotlight. We've been telling you recently about the Kim Collins Stadium. And we're not certain, even at this point in time, whether the inter-school, inter-primary school, or the schools meet, the final, the mecca of all the sports for these young, athletics rather, for these young kids will be at the Kim Collins Stadium. But my Straight Talk family, when we reflect and we look at the performance of Samuel Duggins, he promised us many things. You remember he promised us money and trees, my Straight Talk family, very early in his term of office.
We see we have a wonderful alternative in breadfruit. And so we don't have to go without pasta, Madam Speaker, because the world is out of wheat. We can grind our breadfruit into flour and turn that flour into pasta and eat a more nutritious pasta dinner than we would have gotten buying it in the store. From under this administration, we could rest assured that if it's one thing we'll be able to do, is eat in this country, because agriculture is in good hands. I also want to speak briefly to the Department of Cooperatives, Madam. Cooperatives can now have spaces. And the lack of interest that we see in people joining our cooperatives, agriculture, fisheries, marine resources, and cooperatives, it's well budgeted and be monies well spent. I wish to make it clear to the world, as the Minister of Agriculture, that our country will take the establishment of a marijuana industry very, very serious. In fact, Madam Speaker, I dare say that this conversation has been going on for far too long. I think it has been a promise for some 3 elections with no real delivery until now. So, Madam Speaker, I would have liked to be in a very different position in this today. However, a few days difference may have permitted that. But I can dare say that my dear friend and colleague, the Attorney General, would agree that the work that we are doing in strengthening our legislations to address some of the issues raised by my friend and honorable member for Nevis 9 would put us in a place in 2023 to say that St. Kitts and Nevis is open for business as it relates to a marijuana industry. But you see, Madam Speaker, yes, that deserves a wow. Because in 2023, we will be open for business. Madam Speaker, the marijuana industry, as we have heard, is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And we have been dragging at a snail's pace in getting involved. And I could not understand for the life of me why. Literally growing money on trees. But yet somehow, we don't want to participate. But I dare say, that era is over, and it's now a new day, and a better way. So in 2023, expect a vibrant, thriving marijuana industry. And for now, I leave it right there on marijuana.
It's not a laughing matter, my Straight Talk family. 2023 was 2 years ago. They expected money on trees. In 2024, we look forward for the promise of 300 jobs as a result of the new plantation to deliver Tabasco peppers. 100 acres of Tabasco peppers and 3 workers per acre would give us 300 jobs. That's what he said, my Straight Dog family. That was 2024.
As we put into the ground today, the first set of seeds received from Tabasco as a part of our Tabasco pepper project and that partnership. Ladies and gentlemen, this partnership will definitely see St. Kitts and Nevis moving forward in the right direction. As we know, Tabasco pepper is the widest distributed pepper sauce in the world. Not just the region, not just the hemisphere, but the entire world. And for St. Kitts and Nevis to be part of that ecosystem, for us to have a partnership with such a global institution, speaks volumes when you consider our size and our position in the global hemisphere.
But what about the shade houses, my Straight Dog family? What about the shade houses from years ago? Thank God for my friend Azar Gums, who exposed his incompetence in this area as well.
My name is Azar Gums, Deputy Political Leader of the People's Action Movement. I am here in Newton Grove, where the Honorable Samuel Duggins, in an article dated 2023, spoke about the construction of 15 state-of-the-art greenhouses. We are now in 2025, and these greenhouses are still incomplete. Another stalled, delayed project under the Minister of Agriculture. One must ask the Minister, how much was budgeted for this project? How much has been spent? And why is there delay? The farmers that you speak about, who needed these greenhouses, still need these greenhouses. Duggins, why do you continue to fail in every ministry you hold? The people of St. Kitts and Nevis deserve better.
Yes, we deserve better. And my Straight Dog family, Samuel is just downright incompetent, like the other experts in his cabinet. And not just Samuel, but all of them, from captain to cook, from PM right down to senator. All of them should be fired. And I pray to God that we get that opportunity sooner rather than later. And those are my observations in review of my Straight Dog family. And I'll move right into my thesis for tonight, which I said earlier. I've titled, St. Kitts needs its own government like Nevis. Yes, Nevis has a local government that looks after its own affairs in every aspect except national security and foreign affairs. St. Kitts does not have that same arrangement, my Straight Dog family, or an island administration like Nevis, which means that the federal government is in effect the government of St. Kitts. Or put differently, the federal elections were always interpreted as the elections to elect the St. Kitts government, whereas a separate election is held to elect the Nevis government, or as it is called, the Nevis Island Administration. And the late revered Vance Winkworth Amory made that point, believe it or not, some 22 years ago. Vance Winkworth Amory, may his soul rest in eternal peace, made that very point, my Straight Dog family. How many of us remember this?
Nevis Premier Vance Amory tells Connor Radio the CCM made this position clear to the leaders of both the People's Action Movement and the St. Kitts Labour Party when they sought the CCM's support for a formation of a coalition government.
Nevis has a local government which looks after Nevis affairs in every aspect except for foreign affairs. St. Kitts does not have the same government. It means that the federal government, in effect, is the St. Kitts, or the government of St. Kitts. And then the Prime Minister said this clearly. The opposition leader said that clearly. He said, listen, our position in this election is to present the position for St. Kitts. Our manifestos deal with the development of St. Kitts. And they were not the federation system now and the involvement of Nevis only came into effect when the numbers turned up the way they turned up. And I think we have to recognize that. And I think we're looking at numbers, but we're not looking at a system which has a local government in Nevis, none in St. Kitts, and where the federal government acts in effect as the St. Kitts local government. And I think we must not let that down. I think if we can accept that, then all the discussions, all of the questions would then have to cease at that.
And that, my straight talk family, was 22 years ago when Vance opined that the federal government really acts as the St. Kitts government. And that has been the widely accepted opinion of the majority of people of St. Kitts and Nevis. So what was Prime Minister July thinking about when, for some unknown reason, he recently made this statement?
St. Kitts does not exist in our constitution. I'll say it again. St. Kitts does not exist. Nevis exists, but St. Kitts does not exist. The only place St. Kitts can have funds to do things on St. Kitts is from the consolidated fund. St. Kitts does not have an island administration with a separate fund. So I want us to make that clear.
My straight talk family, ask yourselves, what was Prime Minister July trying to tell us? Because there was not one manifesto published by the three political parties in St. Kitts that referred to any development or capital project in Nevis. The three budget estimates approved in 2022, 2023, and 2024 gave authority to the Terence Michael July administration or the St. Kitts government to spend money on the people and for the development of St. Kitts. Yes, the budget estimates appropriated in the St. Kitts Nevis National Assembly are indeed a critical financial framework for running the public service, as they allocate the necessary resources for the operation of government institutions, public services, and various development programs in St. Kitts. The budget provides funding for several key areas, such as public sector salaries and wages, healthcare, education, social services, public infrastructure, debt management, security and law enforcement, and government operations, the day-to-day operation of the government departments, ministries, and agencies in another key area covered by the budget for St. Kitts. This includes office supplies, utilities, and administrative expenses. In sum, my straight dog family, the budget estimates are critical to ensuring the smooth functioning of the public service, as they provide the necessary resources to sustain and to develop the infrastructure, social services, and other essential government functions in St. Kitts. Not St. Kitts and Nevis, in St. Kitts. But ask yourselves, my straight dog family, let's ask ourselves, what is the Prime Minister's vision for St. Kitts? And what is his vision for Nevis? He has clearly paid much attention to this very unique position, my straight dog family. He has paid much attention to this.
Let me recognize you, of course, in your capacity as Premier of Nevis, but you also wear the hat of Leader of the Opposition.
As you seem to have lost that soundbite, my straight dog family. Let me get that soundbite for you. I do apologize profusely for that, my straight dog family. I do apologize for that. Let me see if we can get that up again. I do we get that for you one more time. Just bear with me, my Straight Dog family, because something went wrong with that. My Straight Dog family, I know it is this. Yes. Let's do that again for you. Okay, let's see if we can get that sorted out for you, my Straight Dog family. Let's just get that out for you again.
Quite unique, of course, but we are a federation. Let me recognize you, of course, in your capacity as Premier of Nevis, but you also wear the hat of Leader of the Opposition. Quite unique, of course, but we are a federation.
Yes, my Straight Dog family, I apologize for that. But is the Prime Minister happy with this unique situation whereby the Premier is the leader of the opposition? Vance Amy was Premier from 1992 to 2006 and served as leader of the opposition from 2000 to 2004. When Labour won 8 seats, CCM 2 and NRP 1. In 2004, when the CCM won 2 seats in the National Assembly and PAM and NRP won 1 seat each, Governor General Sir Cuthbert Sebastian, in his own deliberate judgment, attempted to appoint Vance Amy as the leader of the opposition. And for the record, my Straight Dog family, this was constitutionally correct to do, as Vance Winkworth Amy was the leader of the CCM and was the one who most likely would command the majority on the opposition bench. But Vance Amy was selfless, or rather he was unselfish, as he literally put the needs of the country before his own. As a matter of fact, he was true to our motto and put country above self. So what did the late Vance Winkworth Amy do? Was to yield to his deputy Malcolm Gishard, who then became the leader of the opposition. Recall as well, when Malcolm Gishard died, unfortunately, and Mark Brantley replaced him in the National Assembly, Vance Winkworth Amy one more time yielded, and Mark Brantley was appointed leader of the opposition in 2007. Vance was the premier. But fast track, 16 years, and as fate would have it, CCM is back on the opposition benches, and Mark Brantley is leader and premier, as the late Sir Tapley Seaton, in his own deliberate judgment, appointed him the leader of the opposition on the opposition benches. But Mark Brantley is not Vance Winkworth Amy. He is selfish. So he could not give way to any of the 4 other members of the 3 parties that opposed the ruling government during the 2022 elections. There are 3 parties represented on the opposition benches, my Straight Dog family. From the photo on your screen, you can see Mark Brantley sitting in that area in the National Assembly, where members of the 3 parties opposed to the ruling party or government all sit. But Mark is the leader of the opposition and premier of Nevis, my Straight Dog family. Unique, we said, my Straight Dog family, in which this was described by Terence July.
Let me recognize you, of course, in your capacity as Premier of Nevis, but you also wear the hat of Leader of the Opposition. Quite unique, of course, but we are a federation.
Yes, quite unique, he said, my Straight Dog family. In 3 years, Terence Michael July has failed to activate the Public Accounts Committee in Parliament, as per the standing orders, my Straight Dog family. which are very clear as well. Very, very clear. It is pellucid, as we say. A PAC plays a crucial role in overseeing government spending and ensuring accountability. In St. Kitts Nevis, the Public Accounts Committee is typically an essential component of parliamentary oversight, tasked with reviewing government expenditures and ensuring accountability, my straight dog family. That is very clear, very clean, my straight dog family. As it says on your monitors, and you can glean from your screens what it says about, and coming from the standing orders of the National Assembly and Elections Act, my straight dog family. Very, very clear. Very, very clear, my straight dog family it is. So, you can glean from the Public Accounts Committee Act, as it speaks to, from the National Assemblies and Elections Act. And it speaks to chairman and deputy chairman. Section 4, subsection 1. There shall be a chairman of the committee pursuant to the provisions of Section 70, subsection 3 of the standing orders. And if the leader of the opposition is a member of the committee, he or she shall be offered the option to chair the committee before all members. My straight dog family, it goes on. But the point I'm attempting to make, there is no Public Accounts Committee in the St. Kitts Nevis National Assembly or in the legislature in Nevis. Mark is the premier in Nevis and the leader of the opposition in St. Kitts. So it must be fair to ask, my straight dog family, is there collusion or some collusion between the Prime Minister and the Premier? Because so unusual is this situation in our National Assembly that the settled view is that the concerned citizens movement and its leader Mark Brantley has entered into a secret coalition with the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. So there are 9 seats in Parliament in the National Assembly, 3 quite strange on the opposition benches, and 6 on the government benches. But there is a secret coalition between the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party and the concerned citizens movement. There is. It cannot be disputed. So why didn't Brantley yield his leader of the opposition's position to another member? The response to that question is pellucid. Brantley is bright. Brantley is also transactional. Drew has a slender 1-seat majority in the National Assembly. And things are not well in his cabinet, we are told. So he too is pretending to be bright. But I preferred, before this advice from Prime Minister Gonzalez, to both Drew and Brantley. And I wish to do it again, my Sweet Dog family.
There are a lot of people who get involved as leaders. They do so because they think that they are bright. Brightness. There are 2 kinds of brightness. A brightness which blinds and a brightness which illuminates. If I'm driving my SUV and have the beams on, and you're driving yours, Neil, and we're coming in from opposite directions to each other, Oh, there is a tremendous amount of brightness, but we are blinding each other. Neither of us can see properly the road where we are going. The brightness which we must look for is the brightness which illuminates the pathway. How many times you see some youngsters or not so young people think they're particularly bright. They burn themselves out like the passing meteor, and they simply fall. The brightness which they will bring to the table would blind people, not illuminate the pathways.
And that can be said about Brantley and Michael Jew. The brightness of them both are blinding the people of St. Kitts Nevis. It has the poor people in darkness. Ironically, the current political disposition only reignites a discussion that many of us are still trying to avoid after 42 long years of independence. To wit, the obvious imperative to revise our constitution, which was drafted based on political expediency. When I sent my link to a friend of mine from Nevis today, and I can't call his name my straight dog family, for obvious reasons, but suffice to say that he's a staunch defender of the snake. But he always looks forward to my thesis. And when he saw St. Kitts needs its own government like Nevis, without hesitation, he sent me this WhatsApp message which reads, "Greetings, Sir Ian, I concur. However, to achieve that, we need to reform the Mickey Mouse document, have two separate entities, and then create a real federation with an umbrella federal government headed by a president. That's my perspective," he wrote, "and I'm not going to change it. Cheers." He ended with this quote from former Premier Joseph Parry: "The NIA is just a glorified local council." The proposal to reform the constitution of St. Kitts and Nevis to create a more balanced federation with autonomy for both islands is an intriguing idea. Granting greater autonomy to both islands could help address local needs and governance styles, fostering a sense of ownership and empowerment. A reformed federal structure could ensure that both islands have equitable representation in decision-making processes, reducing potential tensions between them. Establishing a federal government headed by a president could streamline governance and provide a unified vision for the federation, while still respecting local governance. Each island has distinct cultural and economic characteristics. A reformed constitution could better accommodate these differences, promoting tailored policies that benefit each island. Challenges of transition. There will be implementation of such reforms would require careful negotiation, careful planning to address potential legal, political, and administrative challenges. Ultimately, however, any constitutional reform should involve extensive consultation with the citizens of both islands to ensure it reflects their needs and aspirations. My straight talk family, nigh 20 years ago, the late Malcolm Gishard, former Deputy Premier, and may his soul rest in peace, he asked the then Prime Minister Denzel Llewellyn Douglas a pertinent question which we will repeat here tonight. He asked Douglas this, my straight-up family.
I cannot leave this podium without asking the question of the Honorable Prime Minister. Sir, when are we going to address the Constitution as it relates to the relationship between St. Kitts and Nevis? I thank you.
Gishard brought about much laughter and applause. But that serious question is still relevant today. And I ask it now on behalf of all of us who pray that each election would be free and fair and free from fear. Dr. Drew, I ask, when we are going to address the Constitution as it relates to the relationship between St. Kitts and Nevis. The National Assembly affirmed that benefits to be derived from the geothermal project located at Vaughan's in Nevis shall extend to all citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis. Why can't the National Assembly resolve to affirm that Clause 113 will be deleted from our Constitution to ensure that there is political permanence between our two islands, and as such guarantee that Nevis will never again try to secede from St. Kitts? Why? It was a master stroke of Sir Simeon who left Nevis and by extension the Federation this legacy, my straight dog family.
About 4 years ago, serious negotiations started between Jumes and the Nevis Island administration on the possibility of the construction of an upmarket hotel along the same lines that the Inns of Nevis were promoting, together with an 18-hole championship golf course. It was just over 2 years ago that negotiations were completed, and I was engaged in the groundbreaking ceremony where I laid the first stone to commence the construction of this magnificent, luxurious resort. That was an historic moment in industry in Nevis, because we had just opened the gate of golden opportunity in this country. Today, we have just entered the gate, and here we are with a 196-room hotel being operated by the ultimate in the operation of luxury resorts throughout the world. And I'm referring to none other than the illustrious company, Four Seasons. We have again entered the annals of Caribbean history. Just over 200 years ago, the first commercial hotel in the Caribbean, the Bath Hotel, was constructed in Nevis. And today we can boast the opening of the first 5-star hotel in the region.
And the only hotel in Nevis, constructed in Nevis in recent time. But Sir Simeon never gave up on his quest for independence for Nevis. He reminded us just before he died that he not only fought Bradshaw, but he fought Simmons as well.
We have come a long way. We have come a long, long way. And even though we were in there with PAM and a coalition government and we were supposed to be working together, I cannot forget that there were days when we were low on funds and the government in St. Kitts had 80% owner of the bank. And I was the one who passed the resolution in the House of Assembly for the government to get 80% control of the bank. And when we sent down our checks, they were told, we can't pay civil servants this month. Or we can't pay this week, you must wait till next week. These are coming from our friends. These are coming from our partners. These are coming from people we helped to put into government, and this is the way they were treating us.
So it was not rosy with Pam and NRP. Tim Daniel told us that before he died. But will St. Kitts Nevis ever go back to the days of strife? Will there ever be angry or bitter disagreement over fundamental issues? Is Janice Daniel, the leader of NRP and daughter of Sir Simeon Daniel, a secessionist? What about the snake Mark Brantley? Is he still a devout secessionist? Just recently, the snake Brantley spoke about dialogue, cooperation, and dialogue with the Prime Minister. Just recently, he said this.
I reflect, members of the press, that the Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Drew, would have afforded me an audience with him in the very first week, in fact, in the early days of the first week that he took office as Prime Minister. And it was at that meeting that he and I canvassed the position that there was a need for there to be greater dialogue, greater cooperation between the island of Nevis and the island of St. Kitts, and between the Nevis Island administration and the federal administration.
And I hear some of you, my Street Dog family, I hear some of you say that the snake betrayed us before. He betrayed us before. I hear you say that. And he made promises. One such promise he made, my Street Dog family, was this one. My Street Dog family, never to disappoint us. Remember he said this.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, my point is simple. Unity has been good for our country. Unity has been good for our country. Unity has been good for the people of St. Kitts, and it has been good for the people of Nevis. And this, in my respectful opinion, was the promise of the idea of unity. This is what we came to you and asked you to invest in. A better country. A country with opportunities, not for some, but for all. A country where whether you were born in Nevis or you were born in St. Kitts, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. All that mattered was your willingness to make a contribution to this, our beloved nation of St. Christopher and Nevis. And so long as we are here, and so long as you invest and continue to invest your confidence in us, I promise you, St. Kitts and Nevis, and I promise as a proud representative of the people of Number 9, that we shall not disappoint you. Thank you, good night, and God.
We shall not disappoint you. His words to Nevisians. Right now, the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and the Premier of Nevis are in Nigeria, 7,000 or 8,000 miles away, after spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in what may just be a futile attempt to bridge the gap between Africa and the Caribbean. Why not first bridge the 2-mile gap between St. Kitts and Nevis and create physical permanence, is what I call it, within the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Nevis will reap more economic benefits from the bridging of both islands. If we apply a simple economic theory, first, examine the total population of both islands, my Street Dog family.
The estimated population of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis for 2022 is 51,320 persons, marking an 8.7% increase over the 2011 census count of 47,195 persons. This reflects an increase of 4,125 persons over the 11-year period, averaging an annual increase of 0.76% during the intercensal period. The island of St. Kitts is home to 38,138 persons, accounting for 74% of the federal population, while Nevis, with 13,182 persons, comprises the remaining 26%.
Let's break down my proposition, my straight talk family. If one island has 74% of the combined population of 51,320 persons, that means Island A, St. Kitts, has 38,138 persons. And Island B, Nevis, has 13,182 persons. If the two islands are bridged, the physical connection would lead, no doubt, to economic opportunities. Local connections are often more manageable and can provide immediate benefits. In contrast, investing in a long-distance economic bridge like the one between Africa and the Caribbean involves greater complexities, costs, and uncertainties. Local connections could yield quicker and more tangible economic benefits than attempting to link two distant regions. The local bridge is likely to provide more immediate benefits than a long-distance investment. If these two things cannot be resolved, 1, political permanence by removing the 113 clause in the Constitution, or 2, bridging the islands of St. Kitts and Nevis. No geothermal, no international airport, no town in Saddle Hill will bring us closer and more prosperous as a people. If these two things, the 113 clause and the bridge, if these two things cannot be resolved in our quest to become a sustainable island state, then truth be told, St. Kitts needs its own government like Nevis. And that's my story tonight, and I am not going to change it. I will open the lines and entertain your calls and your emails. And when I do so, I anticipate that you will respect others. And of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to build better relationships, my straight talk family. Let us ensure that the things we say and or do will also build better relationships. And in saying and doing those things, let us strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. At 10 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour, I go to the telephone lines and say, good night, caller. You are live. Hello, caller.
Good night, Mr. Liburd.
Good night, my dear.
The quotation. A pack of jackasses led by a lion of Superior.
Led by a lion of what?
By a lion of Superior.
By a lion of what?
So Superior.
Oh, Superior. A lion
yes.
of Superior. Okay.
Superior.
Okay.
To a pack of lions.
To a pack of lions.
Led by a jackass.
To a pack of lions led by a jackass.
I repeat, a pack of jackasses led by a lion of Superior to a pack of lions led by a jackass. Have a great evening.
Thank you very much, my dear. That quotation. I always get some very interesting quotations from across the Narrows. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, good night, you're live. Hello, caller.
Good night, brother. Good night, Brother Patches. Good night to all the listeners.
Good night, my brother. Good night.
Patches, before I move forward, I'd like to ask you a question. with all your utterance, your encouragement, your knowledge, your education, I think you are in a better position than any political candidate, should you wish, to run for president of St. Kitts and Nevis. How about that? What do you think? State your claim.
Well, that's a comment. I'm humbled to learn that I'm still worthy of being competent to represent my people.
Yes, you are. You are qualified. You are not disqualified.
Okay.
You are in better position with your utterance, your command attention, and you have attention. You have me, you have eye attention. And instead of being a mouthpiece for anyone, I think you should put your wheels on your barrow, and it shall be pushed. I will help push that. That is the only way that I can. That's the only way one can have my support so profoundly. So you have time to think about it. Now, moving forward, I believe St. Kitts should have its own government. And I believe the government should be, we pass from premier to prime minister, now it's time for president. Barbados does it. So we can do it too. And saying that, I think the constitution need to be changed to make it that factual that should be done. The second thing is, then I think the bridge between St. Kitts and Nevis is vital. I thought I heard you said 1 + 2 = 1. And I understand that concept and that principle and that format. The maths is right.
That's my strongest weak point.
The other thing is,
So that's my strongest weak point. Be careful.
I stand for correction. The other thing is, our leaders has gone miles distance away in Africa. What do they gone for? Are they going to bring in some nectar? Or should I say substance that will benefit us? Not because I'm in the United States. I am still a part of St. Kitts. I'm a natural born Kittitian, and I will never give it up for nowhere else. I have suppressed my citizenship in the United States for reasons to come home and help my people and represent my people. The gentleman who corrected me some shows ago, we are looking for representative, not our leaders. And now is the time for such thing. If our leaders are going to countries, take a page and bring it home and share it with us. Be proactive. And I could give them an example. Go to Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso, we could learn from Burkina Faso if that's what they're doing. But they're not bringing in anything. All they are doing is go and to get per diem. That's all. Let the state they claim and prove it. I sustain the stance that I made. I will like to be the first president of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And I'm not going to change it, and I will yield there for other people. I'm open for critique. And so it be said, so it shall be done. Bye for now.
Bye, my dear brother. Wish you Godspeed. We have we're going hopefully to the 1 million cruise passenger mark. And think about it, if or when we do reach that, had be a bridge, don't you believe that 500,000 of that 1 million or more, you would travel to Nevis? Let's go back to the lines, my straight talk family. Caller. Yes, caller. Yes, caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
How are you?
I am peaceful. Is this the major?
Of course, of course.
I've heard you for some time. Is all well with
now,
you?
Something have to be, as an old soldier, you have to charge the battery, you know. We can't allow it to be dead. It's not fully charged.
You went into your bunkers.
Yeah. It's not fully charged. It's not fully charged.
Okay.
But it's coming in.
Okay.
No. And listen, well, what your thesis is, what your thesis is what? What your thesis is?
Sengis needs a government.
Yeah.
His own government, rather, like Nevis.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I thought about it. And because I think about it, listening you tonight, you see that you're more dealing with leadership. You're more dealing with leadership, how I listen it. So I want to ask you, what is leadership? And if you can define it for me, I will be able to tell you what I think about it.
Well, you should tell us and save time.
Huh?
You should tell us and save time, shouldn't you?
I haven't heard that.
I said you should tell us and save time, but leadership really influences, the ability to influence and guide a group towards a common goal, don't you think?
Well, yeah, it is the ability to guide others, but without force, without force.
Well, motivation, yes, and communication.
Yes, without force. Without force, because it is force. If you apply force on me, I'm going to not be able to tell you what direction and what decision that I will leave, what will leave with them. Let me go on to say, boy, you talk about leadership and so on, it's true. And you know that we got pompous leaders. We got pompous leaders.
Right. What's the name? Gonzalo said they're bright.
You said bright or you said pompous?
Okay.
You said bright. Bright. What is bright? I said pompous. We have pompous leaders. Okay. We know that.
Okay.
And because they have that, and because leadership, you have to guide me. You have the ability to guide me. And you have to guide me without force, man. Without force. And because that we have to know what direction and what decision we have to make. Because that can leave a still, it can leave a still feeling that will encourage and accomplish things. With me?
Yes.
Yeah. We have to be careful with that because we got pompous leaders and we have arrogant. They are very arrogant. And how are you going to do that? If you're arrogant, you're going to get ignorant and I can get it, and we ain't going to get nowhere. Isn't it?
True.
Yeah. So that is all I'm saying. We need leaders that will guide us. It is the ability to guide. If you can't guide, you don't want it.
Influence and guide.
All right. Thank you. Yes. Okay. And you must do that without force, Without force. Don't force me to do nothing. Right? Do that without force.
You're so right.
You agree?
Yes, you're so right, my dear brother.
Okay. You take it. Thank you, Charles. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Major. Major Jones spoke about leadership, and when you made a point about leadership just now, and I reflected on the former Prime Minister, our second Prime Minister, and what he said about a current leader. I was trying to bring that to the fore. We like to get on top of things and get current and so on, right? And while I'm speaking to you, I'm here searching. And would you believe what he said about a current leader right now? And he said, my Straight Talk family, about this particular leader. I'm trying to find it, my Straight Talk family. And as I look for it, yes, I found it, believe it or not. This is what the second Prime Minister, Denzel Douglas, said about the snake. He said this about the snake. When I heard you use the word arrogance, this is what Douglas said about Brantley.
Only you have sense. Nobody else in this parliament has sense. It bothers me because there is no need for that kind of arrogance. He's the most intelligent person in the world. He's the most sensible person in the world. He's the richest parliamentarian in the world. It's a glimpse of the nature of the member for Nevis. Arrogant, pompous, talking down to people. I have been around for 16 years, and that's not a good attitude for a politician. You need to change your attitude. You need to stop talking ill of people. And as long as you're doing it in this parliament, I will defend them and I will attack you.
Yes, who is the member from number 9? Ask yourself. Caller, thank you for holding your live. Are you there, caller?
Yes. Yes, Patrick, good night.
Good night, sir.
How are you today?
I am
tonight. How are you tonight?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm peaceful also. I'm just spending some time listening to you, getting educated from me politically. But I want to say you're being very much politically forceful tonight. And I guess you have a reason. And I hope your reason that you are not feeling intimidated by having a form of understanding that in the future it can be a unity government again between Labour and Mark Bradley. And the way how I trying to digest your comments, you are like you're in a fringe, you're in a fear that this might happen. If I'm judging you wrongfully, correct me. But one thing I know about Mr. Mark, he conquer and he destroy. He conquer and he divide. That's one thing I know about it. So one has to be very careful when they form a unification party with Mr. Mark Bradley, because he's a very strong person. He loves to have his ways, and he do not like to be humiliated by any leaders. He like to be in position. But on the next story there, you talk about Jew and Mark going to Africa. I think he's a little biased with that conversation. Yes, he's the Prime Minister, and I think they have the right, the ministers and the Prime Minister have the right to travel for development and, welfare of the country. Because your former Prime Minister has done the same. So let us be a little fair and a little honest within our political point of view and our political understanding that these ministers, yes, we might see it as a waste of money, but these ministers are doing the same thing that the former ministers has done. They go, they try to look investment for the country, development for the country, and that's not a robbery.
But
there's nothing bad about that.
But the two wrongs don't make a right. So if they go and waste the money, the point though.
Yeah, but I don't see it as wrong, Mr. Patrice.
The point though, we don't know whether it is wrong or right, because as I said, if you're listening, perhaps you miss me. Is that we don't get no reports from these overseas trips. As a matter of fact, in some countries in Europe, I think, one of the countries was on my tip of my tongue, where the reports are actually submitted to the parliament and published. So in a case like this 15-member delegation gone to Nigeria to gallivant, right? When they return, they must tell us what benefits was derived from your trip to Africa, how would the country benefit? We hear nothing from them. That's the point I was making. Fine, go and look investment. But when you come back, tell us what you got or what you did not get. Don't you think that's a reasonable thing to ask?
But that should be very much humble, prudent of them to do such a thing.
But that's the point I'm making.
I agree with you.
That's the point I'm making.
Okay, but give them the opportunity. Give them the opportunity.
But they've been traveling so many times.
Are you willing to give?
But they've been traveling now for 3 years. What more opportunity do you want to give them?
But Mr. Patches, you want to be really honest with yourself. It happened under the former Prime Minister also.
Matter, it was wrong, and two wrongs don't make a right.
Okay.
You just agreed it was wrong. Didn't you agree it was wrong?
Yeah, it's wrong.
But then the two wrongs don't make a right.
I agree with you.
So
but I'm saying that give them the opportunity. Give them the opportunity right now to see what they will do.
Okay, what's the other point? That's all.
You know. Okay, I'm just saying that let us be a wide battlefield and not destroy each other in that political sense that is robbery for them to go and seek for development of the country. They shouldn't do that. And let us be more in the unification understanding. That they're leaders and they have to travel. All the political leaders has done that. I would call back. Have a good night, Mr. Pudge. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. Thanks a lot for your intervention. And yes, they all have to travel. And we say we don't travel. I mean, if you listen to the lady, Miss Hazel, and she said this, the Prime Minister never traveled to Africa. His first time to Africa. He's gone back home. He said this. She said this.
Why Nigeria, a company in Nigeria, or why Nigeria, is that there has been quite a lot of conversations about bridging the gap between Africa and the Caribbean. We in St. Kitts and Nevis also had a summit where Aquarium Consult was represented, and you had people from all over the world because they were invited by the Prime Minister to come, listen, see. I used to be the CEO of the Investment Promotion Agency, and one of my tagline was a place to visit, a place to live, a place to invest, a place to play. And we thought that this was a good idea to partner with Aquarium Consult and try to bring more of a bridge. My Prime Minister will be here for the summit. He's one of the keynote speakers at the opening ceremony. He's never had an opportunity to visit anywhere in Africa, and he is over the moon about coming to Nigeria as his first place in Africa that he is visiting.
So he's gone on a joyride over the moon. He's gone back to Africa. And fine. But what we're saying, when the Prime Minister and ministers or government officials travel on official business, they must be required to submit detailed reports upon their return. That's the point I'm making. We must know what this Prime Minister brought back for us, what the country stands to gain from the trip, whether it is in terms of trade deals, diplomatic relations, investments, or strategic partnerships. That's all we are asking for. Caller, thank you for holding your live.
A pleasant good evening to you, and how are you doing tonight?
I am peaceful, my dear. What about yourself? I recognize that voice, and I see those dimples.
I'm blessed by the Almighty. Thank God I'm alive.
Grateful to hear that.
Yeah. That is what I call it, you think. I notice the Basco pepper.
Tabasco, yeah.
Taking where pepper, where Basco pepper, where notice. It taking 8 months now to think to reap what's not that one sound like a sugar cane. So like a sugar cane. The second thing, today I asked and use one of them thing put up the radio. 12 person gone to Nigeria, including King Lawyer wife. I asked him, is she working for the government? Or if she working, how much money are she getting at month time? The Patrick, he come back with a cock and bull story up to now, I don't even know. Why be he say what that he say that like it mean like then? Like if a set of people, you get a set of people that they're going away together and what's not, then the wife must go, the prime minister wife must go, and because Obama wife goes with Obama and Biden wife goes with Biden, but he did not call Trump name, that Trump wife goes with him. So this one here, Simmons was the first prime minister in this country here. And he was a real prime minister, not a fake prime minister. And he never go one day yet with his wife go overseas and watch that. So it seems to me like everything in this country here is on the way coming. And it's the first time these things are happen in St. Kitts and Nevis and in the Caribbean. I don't hear no more prime minister go away and walk with their wife. Like how this one, every step he make. He went to St. Martin just last week, he wife with them. He Ghana, Nigeria, he wife with them. Why be really going on with this man here? Just chipping. If the wife is walking there, he come out and tell us. And how much money she getting at month. And Obama don't walk nowhere with his children, them neither. He left all of them home and watch that, and he gonna go do what he got to do by himself. But this one here, what we say we got here, believe that he could run up and down with his wife and come and tell me about is a trip plan for Fushi to be in it and watch that. I really do not know why be going on in St. Kitts and only in St. Christopher. All those nonsense going on underneath this Labour government. I will be back because I have something else to ask. I will be back.
Thank you very much.
See you.
Thank you very much. What if he's afraid to leave her at home, perhaps? That could be a case in point. Mr. Dwyer Astafan reads this email. Many of us were waiting with bated breath to hear a commentary this week from you on the Martinez case's withdrawal. However, you said that you would have it done next week as you continue the debate on the golf course and a projected hotel in the Frigate Bay area. But what happened to a commentary on the beleaguered hospital wing in Nevis that your friend DJ Mary Shaw and others have been calling on you to do? Project started 8 years ago and no sign in end for its completion. We all know that you are capable and very selective on attacking certain public figures for acts of fraud, corruption and thieving, while others you turn a blind eye or make some feeble excuses as you did for the Attorney General in his Social Security nanny case. But wrongdoing is wrong for everyone. I can only assume that you might have been paid for that poorly defensive job. Caller, I thank you for holding your live. Hello, caller.
Yes, thank you again, Brother Patches. I couldn't rest. And the previous call that you had with that assumed, I will say, gentleman from St. Thomas. I don't know what he be listening and hearing. But He is not paying attention to the teacher. His mind is somewhere else. He is so off course. He is so unfocused that I think he should take a step back and think before he talks. Do you think the people of St. Kitts and Nevis are idiots, dunce, or fools? These set of, I can't even say leaders, travelers. Where in this world they should be given a chance to state their claim when they have failed so many times? Not again. Time is up. There is no trust, no confidence. There are a loss of confidence in these people. These people are not leaders. These people are opportunists, and they take advantage of what they could make. They came in with a short pocket, and their pocket has more layers going into infinity, and they will not stop. Per diem, with no substance, no nectar. We need nectar. We need report to the people. We need to know why you travel, where you travel, what is the benefit, what was the nature of your traveling. That's what we need. And last but not least, people of St. Kitts, start to open your mouth and demand and say what you all need, than to be allow promises or comfort for fools. Be revolutionized. I am revoluting you now. Open your mouth and state your claim. Don't stay silent, and don't say that you're not voting. Vote from your heart, and let these kleptocrats, let these misfits go on a boat on a one-way sail and not to return back to St. Kitts and Nevis. Thank you again. Bye for now.
Thank you for your intervention. Patches, good evening. If Marsha don't learn now, she won't learn again. Imagine Marsha helped to bury the lady from Shadwell's son last year, and her unprofessional assistant, Little Bo P, up and down leaking out what the minister is doing for citizens. She up and down telling people that Marsha buried the lady from Shadwell's son, and everybody who comes to the minister for help, she bring it out in the public. What kind of nonsense is this? These things are not to be confidential. Little Bo P brings out all what's happening at tourism department. Little Bo P is ghetto and unprofessional and don't know how to keep things confidential. These are what's happening. Little Bo P is greedy. She sits at tourism and just beg. She has all the cleaning contracts but still begging like beg and borrow. Marsha will learn someday, but when she do learn, it will be too late. Thank you, Patches. Reads this email. The NRP leader, Lady Dr. Janice Hodge, appeared on Freedom Radio Issues program yesterday and gave us a very solid message about Nevis and the millions of taxpayers' dollars that has been wasted on the Premier Brantley. Dr. Harris pointed out that to us a long time ago when he revealed that Mark is a very bad spender. He just cannot spend money. I would like the NRP to win the next election in Nevis and set up a commission of inquiry to find out whose pockets the government money is in, then put them on trial for their corrupt practices. Mark is getting away with too much wrongdoings now, man. Reads this email. This other email reads, a pleasant good evening, Patches. Over a month ago, President Donald Trump signed an executive order for the reintroduction of the single use of plastic. The reason he gave for doing so was, among other things, is that the environmental impact studies carried out on the single-use plastic on the environment is inconclusive. He also stressed the point that the banning of single-use plastic will cost the government and the private sector a ton load of money, which will leave consumers widely dissatisfied and will definitely affect the ordinary American in their everyday life. Yesterday in Focus, Dr. Joel Clark stated that in 2022 she attended a regional waste management meeting, and when she asked the gathering when will they ban single-use plastic, they all told her that St. Kitts was the only country in Caribbean yet to CARICOM, yet to enforce the ban on single-use plastic, and she vowed not to attend any more meeting until the legislation was passed. When asked by the host Ian Richards, how will the legislation affect local businesses, she let the cat out of the bag when she said that the legislation was in essence a Canada-mandated guinea pig study as a cost-benefit analysis to determine which demographic will be mostly affected by banning the use of plastic bags. She then took a swipe at Dr. Harris when asked about bipartisan support to the bill. She only recognized PAM and CCM and not PLP, thus stating that Dr. Harris never shows up for Parliament, even though the crooked speaker informed all at the beginning of Parliament last Friday that she was in receipt of a letter from Dr. Douglas and Dr. Harris asking to be excused as they both were off island. Patches, I guess that the banning of single-use plastic means that Dr. July and his incompetent ministers are making a Herculean effort to take us back to the days of people walking with a grip versus a pull suitcase, and abandoning the intent and going back to the days of us having someone out in the yard to turn a 20-foot metal pipe with an antenna to enable us to watch Stampede Wrestling on ABS in Antigua and ZIZ. What a backward government we have governing this fair land of ours. Have no fear, Patches. Rescue is on the way. Thank you, Patches. Read this email and I'll thank this caller for holding. Caller, are you still there? If you're there, you're live.
You're pleasant. Good night, Brother Patches.
Good night, my brother.
I just like to say greetings to everybody listening here in the Federation and those listening in the diaspora. Well, Granny say, it's time for us to unite as a people. Well, Granny say, one people, one aim, one destiny. Now, you know, what you're talking about, my brother, is a colonial construct. You know, we have not overcome our colonization that our so-called colonizers have put us into. Now, who will you blame for Nevis wanting to secede from St. Kitts? Where you place that blame?
Make your point, my brother. Make your point.
Okay, all right. No problem. Now it goes back, hear this now, because I'm reading from the historical document, right? In 1866, the St. Kitts Assembly voted for a single chamber, eliminating the council and with a majority of members appointed rather than elected. The same year, it was noted that of a population of 25,000, only 300 were qualified to vote under the requirements then in effect. Okay, now, hear this now. There are minute monarchies with separate legislature, different tariffs, distinct provincialisms, and with anti-party strong in the ratio of approximation. Right, this go back to 1862 now. A gentleman of Nevis says it is a duty he has inherited to abhor everything belonging to St. Kitts, which he adds is the fate of all three divisions. Right? Now, Thomas Liburd was a member of the Legislative Council, right? One of the Nevis members became angry over the fact that the Nevis Hospital, destroyed in the 1899 hurricane, had not been rebuilt by 1904, and patients had to be housed in the Nevis jail. He declared conditions there were unacceptable because of crowding and and a bad odors from a nearby tannery. Bad odor from a nearby tannery. He stated that money for non-essential matters was being spent in St. Kitts while Nevis' fundamental needs were being ignored. Since 1872, St. Kitts had an international telegraph system, but never connected Nevis to it. Nevis therefore had no advance warning of the 1899 hurricane, right? Now, Liburd did not give up and send a letter of complaint.
Sorry to interrupt.
Okay. I know you're going to cut me, but hear this.
Wait, please.
The fact remains.
No, please.
The fact remains is a colonial.
Yeah, but
the fact remains is.
We're not going to argue. Let's have an intelligible discussion. But I listen to you for about. Please, I'm begging you. I listen to you for about 3 minutes. If I speak, just listen to me. It's just common courtesy. That's all I'm asking to do. I'm not going to cut you off. I just want to know where you're going. Because you spent 3 minutes talking about the 19th century, about it too. So where you're going? We only allocate 2 minutes, and you go on 3 minutes, and you're talking about the 19th century. So I'm just trying to establish where you're going. So make your point in 20 seconds. Yeah, but you said that already. So what is the point then?
For our sins and get our house in order. Okay. Because remember, the MSR man is back here.
But that's the what? Just tell us the how. You tell us how. Repent, but how? What? That's the what? How does?
Our forward movement, right? The 7 principles of Kwanzaa is a principle guide for us to move forward.
Yeah, but you're talking about Kwanzaa. We advanced tonight the view that Nevis is developing geothermal.
Has its own government?
No, they're developing geothermal. I passed that. We know they have their own government for 42 years. We know that. It's in the constitution. They went to the parliament and passed a resolution and resolved that it is a national federal resource, right? Nevis is being asking for an $80 million guarantee for developing an airport. And I am saying to you that Nevis and St. Kitts, I'm a Nevisian born in St. Kitts. Nevis ain't going no place. All I'm saying to you that let us get rid of 113. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about a colonial construct. Get rid of 113. Wait. You're going to have a time to talk. Just wait a while.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
And all we're saying, let us get rid of that. Because Nevis ain't going to place. We don't want them to go. St. Kitts ain't going to place. You all are one. So all we're saying and we're suggesting that revise or reform the Constitution. I played your soundbite from Malcolm Glishard, who told us, or he asked about it. And what we are saying is that, and we not only said how or what, we say how we suggest we are going to do it. So what is colonial construct about that? I said, to achieve it, we need, and I read a quote from a friend of mine who was in the division and a strong advocate for Mark Bradley. And he wrote this, and I read it, and I read it again. He said, I concur that Nevis, as needs his own government like Nevis. And he went on to say, however, to achieve that, we need to reform the Mickey Mouse document. That's what you refer to as a constitution. Have two separate entities and then create a real federation with an umbrella federal government headed by a president. That's his perspective, and he's not going to change. What's colonial about that?
Because the root is colonial, so we need to come up with something new based on our own principles.
Anything else?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You don't want to deal with the root of the matter. Yeah, it's a colonial construct.
Okay, fine. You said that for all night.
So we need.
But you said,
So what I'm
you
saying,
said that for 7 minutes. You been on now for 7 minutes.
yeah, but I'm showing you the solution. I'm showing you the solution.
I'll give you 5 more seconds to say. You want to say colonial construct again?
No, I'm showing you the solution is we got to scrap that and come up with something that deals with our people's interests.
Okay, my brother. Thanks a lot. I think we've heard you. And I know I sometimes get the wrath from my listeners for giving you so much time. You had 8 minutes to tell us that it's a colonial construct. What's colonial about revising our constitution? I said to you, and I played something from 22 years ago almost, when Malcolm Gishard and the vision, we were dealing with electoral reform. And this is what Malcolm Gishard said to Prime Minister Douglas. Listen carefully.
I cannot leave this podium without asking the question of the Honorable Prime Minister. Sir, when are we going to address the Constitution as it relates to the relationship between St. Kitts and Nevis? I thank you.
And that's straightforward. So the proposal to reform the constitution of St. Kitts and Nevis is aimed at creating a more balanced federation with autonomy for both islands. And yes, it's an intriguing idea. But granting greater autonomy to both islands could only help to address the local needs and governance styles, fostering a sense of ownership and empowerment. There's nothing colonial about that. What we have to repent about? Making things better for us? Having a balanced representation? A reformed federal structure could ensure that both islands have equitable representation in decision-making processes, reducing potential tensions between them. That's what we're saying. There's nothing colonial about that. Can't be. My straight dog family. Let's go back and read our emails as we wind down tonight's programming. I'm surely running out of time. Good night and blessings, Patches. I'm very concerned, this email reads. Sometime not long ago, we were hearing a lot about the ECCB Governor's Palace, and to me it has died a natural death. It would appear as though it was just a 10-day nothing to do about talk. Oh, we are quite a nation. I mean all the Eastern Caribbean islands with ties to the ECCB. Patches, I'm very concerned about what is going on in St. Kitts and Nevis, because it seems as though we have a Mickey Mouse government, because it seems as though there is no one person in the government which has a serious mind for us as citizens. Patches, we are catching our backsides, and we need these people called government ministers to pay attention to the citizens. We are in a dire strait. We need help. Was there any reason for Drew to take such a team of who knows what to wherever they have gone? I noticed that the mother and daughter are on the bandwagon. The mother is Rosalind Hazel. What does she play in the government? What representation is she going to take part in? The Mrs. Drew, what part does she play in government? These Mickey Mouse gang knows that they are running the treasury empty. And if I were a civil servant, I would have been scared like hell to know, when are we going to hear that there is no money to pay our salaries? Tell me what Samuel's gone on the team for, to take up space? So much for now, Patches. We are in a terrible state of affair. Thanks. Read this email as concerned senior citizen. Hi, Patches. I was shocked. I wrote to ask about what Rosalind's position with the Mickey Mouse, and lo and behold, you brought her up on the television in my email. I asked about Samuel, and there he was again on the television also. I was very upset with Samuel in the house with that presentation you showed tonight. Samuel was laughing, making a presentation in the house on television when the world is looking at him. you can tell he is not for that job. That government is made up with a lot of silly little boys. Not just boys, but silly little boys. They are really making people laugh at us. You think that the government ministers should bring out a cannibal troop with the entire cabinet and the name of the troop, jesters in color. They should include Mark Brantley too. I am a judge and I would give them best troop of the year. Laugh out loud reads this email. And this is my final email. Patches, these greedy, worthless vagabonds been traveling now for almost 3 years. What investment or benefits has the country gotten? This government threw thousands of poor and needy people off the social programs. And now the people are suffering and finding it hard to buy food and pay their bills, while this set of greedy vagabonds travel the world and live higher up the backs of the people of this country, reads this email. And at 3 before the 10 o'clock hour, if you are sharp, I'll get you in for my final call, as long as you will be guided by the rules of brevity. My Straight Talk family, for those who join me late, my thesis I dealt with tonight was one that I titled, Senkits Needs His Own Government Like Nevis. Caller, you are live. Hello, caller.
Yeah, good night, Ashish.
Yeah, good night, sir.
I'm glad how you handle the last caller, because most people don't understand public speaking. When you're on a topic, you're supposed to stick to the topic, not going around the bush. But that's represent a foolish. You don't argue with a fool. The one call from St. Thomas, the same thing. They go around the bush. They never stick to the point. And he a call to Douglas, so Douglas will give you information. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. And on Straight Talk, everyone has their view. I take your point, though. But what we was supporting our thesis with tonight is that we believe that establishing a federal government headed by a president could streamline governance and provide a unified vision for the federation while still respecting local governance. And there will be challenges, because implementing such reforms would require careful planning and negotiation to address potential legal, political, and administrative challenges. Ultimately, however, any constitutional reform should involve extensive consultation with the citizens of both islands to ensure it reflects their needs and their aspirations. And my Straight Talk family, we have a Prime Minister who said this about our Constitution and our beautiful St. Kitts.
St. Kitts does not exist in our Constitution. I'll say it again. St. Kitts does not exist. Nevis exists, but St. Kitts does not exist. The only place St. Kitts can have funds to do things on St. Kitts is from the Consolidated Fund. St. Kitts does not have an island administration with a separate fund. So I want us to make that clear.
And what is your vision? What are you going to do about that? But ultimately, as I close tonight's program in my Straight Talk family, any constitutional reform, as I was saying, should involve extensive consultation with citizens of both islands to ensure it reflects their needs and aspirations, beg your pardon. And I raise the point, and I'll leave you with this, my Straight Talk family, that the late Malcolm Gishard, former Deputy Premier and former leader of back then Her Majesty's Loyal Opposition, asked the then Prime Minister Douglas this pertinent question.
I cannot leave this podium without asking the question of the Honorable Prime Minister. Sir, when are we going to address the Constitution as it relates to the relationship between St. Kitts and Nevis? I thank you.
And Gishard evoked much laughter and applause. But that serious question is still relevant today. And I ask it now on behalf of all of us who pray that each election would be free and fair and free from fear. Dr. Drew, I ask, when we are going to address the Constitution as it relates to the relationship between St. Kitts and Nevis. The National Assembly affirmed that benefits to be derived from the geothermal project shall extend to all citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis. Why can't the National Assembly resolve to affirm that Clause 113 will be deleted from our Constitution to ensure that there is political permanence between our two islands, and as such guarantee that Nevis will never again need to secede or try to secede from St. Kitts? Yes, my Street Dog family. Will St. Kitts and Nevis ever go back to the days of strife? Hell no. Will there ever be angry or bitter disagreement over fundamental issues? Hell no. My Street Dog family. And just recently, the snake, as I said, spoke himself about dialogue. He spoke about cooperation. And he spoke about collaboration, my Street Dog family. He spoke about the relationships and said dialogue is important.
I confess that this opportunity to engage in dialogue, our cabinet at the island level with the national cabinet, is one that I cherish and one that I think is very important. Nothing in this world is ever achieved without the ability to communicate. And the dialogue is very important. When there are problems, dialogue is important. And even in good times, dialogue is important. Even in marriages, dialogue is important. In all relationships, dialogue is important.
I know, my Street Dog family, many of us will not trust the snake. It's all about trust, because he made this promise before.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, my point is simple. Unity has been good for our country. Unity has been good for our country. Unity has been good for the people of St. Kitts, and it has been good for the people of Nevis. And this, in my respectful opinion, was the promise of the idea of unity. This is what we came to you and asked you to invest in. A better country. A country with opportunities, not for some, but for all. A country where whether you were born in Nevis or you were born in St. Kitts, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. All that mattered was your willingness to make a contribution to this, our beloved nation of St. Christopher and Nevis. And so long as we are here, and so long as you invest and continue to invest your confidence in us, I promise you, St. Kitts and Nevis, and I promise as a proud representative of the people of Number 9, that we shall not disappoint you. Thank you, good night, and God.
That was then my Street Dog family. But right now, the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and the Premier of Nevis are in Nigeria, 7,000 or 8,000 miles away, after spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in what may just be a futile attempt to bridge the gap between Africa and the Caribbean? Why not first bridge the 2-mile gap between St. Kitts and Nevis, we ask, and create a physical permanence within the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis? Nevis will reap so much more economic benefits from bridging of both islands, the bridging of both islands, if we apply a simple economic theory. My Street Dog family, local connections are often more manageable and can provide immediate benefits, my Street Dog family. In contrast, investing in a long-distance economic bridge like one between Africa and the Caribbean involves greater complexities, costs, and uncertainties. My Street Dog family, the local bridges to provide more immediate benefits than a long-distance investment. If these two things cannot be resolved, political permanence by removing the 113 clause in the Constitution, bridging the islands, I dare say no geothermal, no international airport, and no town in Saddle Hill in Nevis will bring us closer and more prosperous as a people. If these two things, 113 clause and the bridge, if these two things cannot be resolved in our quest to become a sustainable island state, then truth be told, St. Kitts needs its own government like Nevis. And that's my story tonight, and I am not going to change it. I must thank Almighty God, therefore, for guiding our conversation tonight. As always, I thank you, the many listeners, the many viewers, those of you who called, those who sent emails, those of you who just sat back, had a glass of wine or some beverage, some cocktail, and looked at your televisions. Remember, you are the ones who make Straight Talk, and for that reason, I say a big, big thank you. And it's Thursday, so God's speed, we will connect on Monday for another edition of Straight Talk. Until then, have yourselves a wonderful weekend. Be good to all whom you meet. And remember that whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. But first of all, you just got to believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Dog family, keep moving on. Bye-bye. Until we connect on Monday for another edition of Straight Talk.